The Bold Coast Bash. This is an event that I've been looking forward to since its inaugural running, actually a little bit before, in 2019. I saw some images that they had posted online and it just looked beautiful. The 2020 running, which I was in the roster for, was rolled over secondary to COVID. And so I was stoked to do what I could to make it happen to get up there this past, November, just 2 weeks ago. Logistically, it is a challenge. Set up in Cutler, Maine. It is probably about 20 miles from the easternmost portion of the United States, pretty close to the New Brunswick border. It sits right on the Bay of Fundy in Downeast, Maine. And logistically, it is tough. It's probably like 4 hours from, I think, Portland, Maine, pretty much removed from 99.99% of the world. What it took for me was 90-minute drive to the airport, 2 flights, arriving in Bangor, 3-hour drive to lodging pretty close to the race destination, just a few hours sleep, and getting up for race day. So logistically, quite a bit to make happen for an event. But what I found was, I guess, all that I had hoped for up there. The footing is probably reminiscent of some of the running in the Adirondacks, maybe some of the areas of Pennsylvania or Roxylvania, maybe some of the sections of the Metacomet Trail. But what you're greeted with is a steady barrage of rocks and root jungles, some boulder climbs and slides, as well as some really tricky slick bog planks or bridges. Some of them act more like a inconsistent teeter-totter with their spikes letting loose, which creates not only trip hazards, but also, well, you're not really wanting to fall on a protruding spike. But with all that considered, I guess that just magnifies everything. So I'll take you through the course a little bit. The course configuration makes use of a 10.5 mile figure 8 circuit. You do it once for the 10 mile or the 10.5 mile, twice for the 21 mile, and 3 times for the 50K for 31.5 miles. So the course, that figure 8. So as you go through the first probably mile and a half or so, you're going through some fairly eroded, soppy, some bridges, some rocks, woods. In about like a mile and a half or so, you emerge at the first of what's the pocket views of the Bold Coast. It's just a really dramatic, rocky, cliffy coastline which overlooks the Bay of Fundy. And when you first get there and you see this view poking through the trees, you think, wow, that's pretty spectacular. But really, it just gets better from there. For the next couple miles, you undulate through and around stream beds and columnar rock. It really ebbs and flows along the rugged coastline. And there you start really getting some more open views. You get the waves crashing down around the rocks. You get for us starting around sunrise, we get the sun rising up over the Atlantic and really just penetrating through this old, what feels like an old growth forest. So I think that's around 3.5 miles, you tuck in on the figure 8 and you get a couple miles into the forest proper. You're circling through to surround some of these bog areas, continuing to undulate. There's no major climbs on the course, but it fishes through, and you go through this what feels like old growth, like spruce or fir forest sections, which are just blanketed in this mossy undergrowth or forest floor. So I was really grateful and thankful to spend just running with my teammate and friend Ben Nephew, and we hadn't caught up in a while, and so we spent the first 2 loops just catching up and speaking to the dramatic nature of the course. There were several spots where he and I both just spontaneously just remarked just how crazy beautiful this forest was. So in that specifically, in a couple of them, you're just winding through this, again, moss-covered ground, this windy single track just flowing, and it's just gorgeous. you re-reach the coastline probably somewhere around 5 miles, and then you start heading back toward the center of the figure 8 circuit, running along the coastline again. And along that coastline you get these massive surge waves, at least in the morning, maybe being high tide, that are just slamming into the coastline. You get these plumes or rooster tails coming up over the rocks right in front of you or beside you. You get the sound of the booms where the water is pounding these coves or these caves down along the coastline in these hidden coves, and it's just spectacular. Certain sections where you're going up and climbing up and over rocks along the coastline, and truly dramatic. I think the first loop, as we were heading through some of the technical terrain, and me coming in with a relative lack of fitness, I was just thinking, man, I didn't think that I was really going to want to be out there 2 or 3 loops. I just thought that I was going to be beat down, wasn't going to have the fitness, and I was just going to be done with it. So coming into about 2 loops, I flagged a little bit. I have a tendency to just not really care about fueling. I just want to go out there and just whatever, just be in the day. And so I was just really low on blood sugar. Started to mix in some more walking. And I just forced kind of Ben to cut the cord and leave me back so he could go on and run in there for the win and just see if he could open it up on that last loop. How's it going? There's only 1 aid station on each of the circuits, and it's at the start-finish staging area. Full-on aid station, but there's only 1 every 10.5 miles, so you have to plan accordingly. So I fueled up with a couple sandwiches, some Coke, headed back out, and quickly energy came back and felt okay again. But what I think disconnecting with Ben for that 3rd loop, really be able to just kind of do my own thing out there. I was really feeling like the course was so beautiful that I would much rather just enjoy being in the place versus the race. And so that allowed me to do that. I stopped and took film, took photographs, appreciated coves, stopped at beaches where you'd have these waves coming up, and as they pulled back, you'd have all the rocks tumbling under, but truly just beautiful. So as I got into that 3rd loop, with a couple miles to go, as I knew I was about to leave the coastline and the headlands for the last time, rather than being, I think, done with the day, I really started kind of almost immediately pining for the loss. I really just enjoyed the time out there, and I was bummed to have to leave that coastline for the last time. We also did benefit from having an absolutely perfect day out there. It was probably 50 degrees. We had the warmth of the sun coming in off the coast, a little bit cooler in the woods, but we got totally lucky.
But this is also Maine in November. Day after the race, I'm standing at Cloudy Point State Park, maybe 20 minutes away from where the race is held. This is the easternmost part of the United States. And this is the weather today. It's about 48 degrees. It's just been a steady rain all morning. It's blustery. And this is also just what you could get out here. The mandatory gear checks at the start line, this is why, and this would be a good day for it. The rocks would be slippery or slicker. The bog bridges would be treacherous. The mud would be deeper. And honestly, I don't think I'd want to do 30 miles out here today. It's just a lot tougher conditions. So it really speaks to how lucky we got yesterday, and really what you need to... There's that wind. And really just what you need to be prepared for out here. So I'm definitely counting my blessings. No less a beautiful place, but that much more treacherous.
I'm really thankful for the Bold Coast runners for putting it on. It seems like a great small community. I'm stoked that they'd created this to put it on our radars and to share a little slice of their little piece of heaven with us. And so... Nothing but good things to say about the Bold Coast Bash. For any of you who it might be on your radar, again, can't say enough on trying to make it happen. And the hope is that maybe I'll see you out there next year. All right. Till then, see ya.